This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network and X-Zone Broadcast Network. My toll-free number worldwide is 1-800-610-7035. My email address, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Mikaya Hart. Now, she grew up in Scotland. She is an author and a teacher who coaches people in the art of being human. Her most recent book is My Sweet Wild Dance, which is the story of her very own personal awakening. In 2002, Mikaya had an epiphany, which led her to sell her house and most of her possessions. She now lives from day to day, wherever she finds joy. Joining me now from somewhere in Texas is Mikaya Hart. Mikaya, welcome to the X-Zone.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be on the show.
Tell us about the epiphany that you had in 2002.
Well, when I look back, I see that there was a lot of things were happening that led up to it. But at the time, what I was aware of was that I had been deeply dissatisfied with my life, and it took a lot to realize that. But I was really questioning life. I was questioning myself, and I had been for years. And I had a remarkable I had a number of remarkable experiences, but this particular experience, I was driving along, and I had to stop the car and get out and look around me, because everything suddenly became incredibly beautiful. And I really don't know how else to describe it. It's like, in fact, it was indescribable. It was an experience of bliss, if you like, or satori. It was an awakening. It was an enlightenment. But for about 20 minutes, I was in a state of complete ecstasy and delight. And I knew that absolutely nothing was wrong in the world. And I was just delighted is probably the right word, but truly delighted on a very, very deep level. And I had, prior to that, I'd been asking a lot of existential questions about, who am I, what am I, why am I here in this world? And that experience really answered the question for me. I'm here to bring joy into the world. And so sometime after this experience, when I was driving along, it took weeks and weeks for me to really sort of get a grip on that experience. But what it finally came down to for me is that I wasn't willing to keep on living my life the way I had been, now that I knew that it was possible to exist in a place of such incredible joy. And I wanted to be in that place all the time, and I was willing to do whatever was necessary for me to do to be in that place all the time. And a lot of what it came down to was I had to stop being busy. You know about being busy. We all know about being busy. Most of us are really, really busy all the time. And that busyness prevents us from being really present to the joy and delight of being alive.
So there's a lot more to the saying where, stop and smell the roses than just a pretty phrase.
Yes, and when people say, don't just sit there, do something, what they really probably mean to be saying is, don't just do something, sit there.
Mikaya, you and I have to take a commercial break. Interesting lady, X-Zone Nation. We're talking about My Sweet Wild Dance. Now, this is the story of Mikaya's very own personal awakening. And we're going to be talking more about happiness, the reality that we live in, and why it's very important to stop and smell the roses. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Right here on the Talkstar Radio Network and the X Zone Broadcast Network. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break. And if you'd like to find out more about Mikaya, her website is www.mikayahart.org. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Shamanism is recognized as a method to access the quantum level. Mastery of shamanic skills puts spiritual information and healing power into your hands. Path Home Shamanic Art School, a bonded Colorado certified occupational school, has met rigorous state standards, ensuring its director and instructors have the qualifications to teach the shamanic arts. Path Home offers its certification program in blocks of study. Block 1, a 5-day intensive, will be held in the beautiful mountain town of Coaldale, Colorado, October 13th through 18th. Registration deadline is September 12th. Experience journey trance, power animals, helping spirits, sacred space, and life purpose. Come discover your power. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magical world of shamanism. Call 303-775-3431 or visit findyourpathhome.com.
With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. www.mikayahert is Mikaya's website. And Mikaya, why did you sell your house? What was the reasoning behind this? And why did you just decide to travel and give everything up?
When I looked at my life, I had to look at what was the most important thing in life for me.
Mm-hmm.
And being busy and getting things done just really wasn't it. I was very aware by that time that there was a great deal more to life than just getting things done. So I needed to get rid of what was keeping me in a place of busyness all the time and a place of getting things done and just learn to just be. This enormous wisdom comes to us when we're willing to just be. But it's not something that's encouraged.
What did your friends and family say?
Well, my family really aren't involved in my life. My friends, mostly they sort of rolled their eyes and said, oh, it's a midlife crisis and so on. Well, sure, I said, of course it's a midlife crisis. I'm in the middle of my life, and you could certainly see this as a crisis, but this is what I need to do. And I've never regretted it. It's absolutely enabled me to live life in a much more real and genuine and joyful way.
You seem to have a very deep belief in the possibility of miracles and the existence of spirits and other worlds. What brought you to those beliefs?
Well, there were two things that were really instrumental in that. One is that I met a woman called Diana John, and there's a group of beings called Amag who speak through her. Now, I've actually been present for a number of people who do channeling, and I'm a little suspicious about quite a lot of it. But Amag were absolutely different. And what happened was I was in the room with a number of other people, and Diana went into trance, and Amag came through. Well, when they came present in the room, I had a physical sensation of the presence of wisdom and love. It was literally a physical sensation, and over time I've come to realize that true wisdom, true knowledge is a physical sensation. We know when something is right or wrong. We know it in our bodies.
Yes.
And because I felt it so strongly as a physical sensation, I couldn't deny it. I knew it was true that these beings who were present in the room with us at that point in time were absolutely the ultimate in compassion and wise, in compassion and wisdom. So that was part of it. And then the other thing was an experience I myself had. And this actually happened after I had made the commitment to change my life. I had said to whoever you say these things, I had said, I am willing to do whatever I need to do in order to live in a place of joy. Well, about a week after that, I had made that commitment. I was riding on my horse, and I fell off my horse onto my head and lay there unconscious in the dirt for a couple of hours. And when I woke up very slowly, and obviously my head was very sore, and it was very cold. It was cold and dark by that time. It was about 7 o'clock in the evening in December. And I didn't have any memory, and it wasn't important to know, who I was or where I was, but I knew that this body, my body, was in trouble and I needed help. And so I couldn't stand. I was very weak. I couldn't stand, but I saw a car nearby, and I crawled over to it and pulled myself up and opened the door. And as soon as I opened the door of the car, I smelled mold. And at that point, I realized where I was, and I knew that the nearest help was about half a mile away down the road. Well, I couldn't walk. I couldn't even stand. So I couldn't get down the road. In the next instant, I found myself lying on the floor of the house down the road, and the woman who was living there was telling me she'd called an ambulance. So anyway, I went to the hospital and it was all fine. But the question is, how did I get down the road?
Exactly.
And I certainly didn't. I didn't walk or crawl because I didn't have a scratch on me, and it was, it was a very steep hill, and there were lots of trees and bushes and brambles and things, and I would have been scratched and bruised to pieces if I had crawled. So it's a miracle along the lines of a mother who picks up a car when her child is trapped underneath it. And having done it once, I knew, I couldn't deny that it had happened. And I knew that I wanted to do it again without having to hit my head. So that was very instrumental. I mean, really, those two experiences were absolutely pivotal for me. Meeting Armagh and then realizing that something, myself, whoever, whatever, I don't know, something moved me down the hill when I needed to be moved down the hill.
Would you consider yourself a mystic or a psychic?
I don't consider myself a psychic because I believe most psychics, they're able to see and hear things outside the physical arena, and I really don't do that. I can feel things, but they're more on a personal level. I can feel what's right and wrong for me personally. I do call myself a mystic, and I do that because I have more of an awareness of myself as a spirit, a being of spirit, a consciousness, if you like, than almost anybody I know. And that's partly because of my life experience. I after the episode with the falling off my horse and hitting my head, I went to talk with Armagh, the beings that I had met previously through Diana John. And I've been asking the question, for years I've been asking the question, who or what am I, and who put me here in this world, and for what? And Armagh said to me that they would recommend that I look in the mirror, not to look at Mikaya, but to look at see who was looking back at me. So I did that, and it really was one of the most extraordinary things that has ever happened to me. I mean, again, it's very hard to talk about because actually nothing happened. I just looked at myself in the mirror and jumped back in alarm. But what I saw in the mirror was, I have to assume that it's the truth of who I am, and it was a being that was powerful and eternal and all-knowing, I mean, beyond anything that we can grasp with our rational brains. Now, Eckhart Tolle, in his book, The Power of Now, I'm not sure, in one of his books, he talks about having that experience of looking in the mirror. And Byron Katie also does, of looking in the mirror and seeing an incredible being in the mirror. So I think they have had similar experiences, but I certainly know very few people who have had those experiences. And really that experience did change my life, because whenever I think about that, I in the same breath, I think, what is there to be frightened of in the world if I'm truly that powerful? What can harm me?
The person that you saw, or the being that you saw, the essence that you saw in the mirror, how do you rationalize it now after all these years?
Well, I don't rationalize it. I don't try to rationalize it because, I think our rational brains they're wonderful instruments. Mm-hmm. They're very useful tools, but they're not designed to grasp what I would call the vastness of all that is. And they can't grasp it. And in fact, because our rational brains are based on an egocentric, and I use that in the best sense of the word, but an egocentric way of being in the world, the ego is threatened by something so absolutely vast. And I do think that vast is a good word there, because it sort of encompasses the idea that it's beyond our ability to grasp it. And so the ego just really can't. The ego, the rational brain. I mean, you can't.
All right. So taking that into consideration, who or what do you believe you saw in that mirror that made you jump back?
Okay. Well, I'll explain in a moment particularly about the jumping back. But let me say that what I've come to believe is that we, as human beings, all of us, okay, well, let me speak for myself here, but understand that in speaking for myself, I believe this is true for every other human being also. I am a vast being of spirit. I am a consciousness that exists beyond time and space. Now, it is impossible for us as human beings to understand or even think about, and certainly not to rationalize, the concept of no time, because our lives are boundaried by time. And time is about space, because space and place are what changes constantly and therefore enable us to follow time. If nothing ever changed, we wouldn't be able to have any way of tracking time. So we can't grasp that vastness. We can't grasp it. It is from that perspective, that vast consciousness, that we decide to create a physical body and a personality to go with it. More than one, actually. All of us, that consciousness that we truly are, will decide time and time again, many times over, to create a physical body. Because that's what, because it's fun, because it's a great experience to...
All right, Stan, we've got to take a commercial break. Please stand by.
Okay.
Exonation, our guest this hour is Mikaya Hart. Her website is mikayahart.org. That's MIKAYAHEART.org. We'll be back on the other side of this news break as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, here in the X Zone.
It was a terrifying experience.
I thought we was going to go to jail for murder.
That day, we were a little behind, so we worked until it was starting to get dark.
We loaded up the equipment and hadn't driven very far when we caught glimmers of this glow coming through the trees. I urged Mike to hurry up and get up there.
Travis had the door open before we even stopped. As he got closer, I heard the sound.
One of the guys said, "You feel that?"
I really panicked then.
I told him, "Get the hell out of here."
It didn't come directly to me, it came to a deputy sheriff.
Three of us volunteered right away to tell him what had happened.
Sheriff Gillespie definitely didn't believe it.
He says that we better be certain because we can get in a lot of trouble.
When we went to search the next day, they split us up, and the whole time the deputies asked me, if you just tell us where the body is, we can all go home and get this over with.
We're talking about 100 people combing through the wooded area. Nothing turns up.
All week long, I've been hearing they're going to set it up to make you guys look guilty.
We're a rough-looking bunch then. Some of us have been in trouble with the law before.
And y'all ain't never going to come out of that jailhouse.
We couldn't get out.
I tried to sneak out the back door the day of the polygraph test. I was scared to death.
On top of that, you have media.
I literally would be on 2 telephones at the same time.
We've even got some coops in here now that's coming in and out to see the freak show, as they call it.
Everyone descends.
I just wasn't going to stand there and listen to it anymore.
Granny says, "This is Travis. I'm back. I need help." When I did hear that he had been returned, it was almost as unbelievable as the original thing.
I just looked at my mom and says, "I told you we didn't kill him."
Travis Walton reappeared after several days with a bizarre story about a ride in an unidentified flying object.
People were desperate to explain it away.
Why are you sticking up with Travis for all this time? You know this really didn't happen.
What happened to Travis after we took off in that truck, I can't tell you.
I hated Travis for a long time after this. My whole world just tore up.
But I believe every word Travis said about it. He's never lied to me about nothing.
It's a net negative. We lost our jobs in the immediate aftermath.
And now you're not able to talk about it with anyone because you know that they're going to laugh at you, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
But if you don't come out and tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you.
There's a degree of responsibility. Certainly I have to accept the bad. If I can direct what's happened in a way that I can make something good happen in the world, I'm looking for it.
Order your copy of Travis, The True Story of Travis Walton, today at www.traviswaltonthemovie.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Mikaya Hart's my special guest this hour, X-Zone Nation, www.mikayahert.org. She grew up in Scotland. She is the author and a teacher who coaches people in the art of being human. Her most recent book is My Sweet Wild Dance, which is the story of her very own personal awakening. In 2002, Mikaya had an epiphany which led her to sell her house and most of her possessions. She now lives from day to day wherever she finds joy. And Mikaya, we were talking about, I guess, the very essence of a person. And I was wondering if we could just kind of, how would you summarize it?
We are all vast beings of spirit choosing physical form.
Oh.
And choosing physical form time and time again. But the basis of who I am and who you are is an all-powerful being of spirit that exists outside time.
So if we are part of a spirit, what spirit are we part of?
Well, that's a very good question. What spirit are we part of? And, you're talking from a human perspective again, where things are divided up, and it's, from a perspective that is beyond any kind of hierarchy. Things are kind of not divided up like that. I mean, it's impossible for us to grasp it on a rational level. But let's put it like this. If I might be sitting at a table and I'll pick up a glass.
Okay.
Now I can say I picked up the glass, but in truth, it's my hands that picked up the glass.
But your hands are part of you.
Yes, exactly, and we are part of, our bodies. This personality, this body that I am, is part of this vast consciousness that is all of me. So I can say, I drove along the road, and the vast consciousness that I am did drive along the road. But actually, it's me and this body that drove along the road too. So you see what I mean? I'm just using the metaphor of I picked up the glass, but actually it's my hand that picked up the glass. And my foot probably doesn't even know that I picked up the glass. It doesn't need to know that I picked up the glass.
Give us some examples of how your inner wisdom has come through.
Really that's back to when I was saying about sensation, that for myself, what happens is I'll get a very strong sensation of what's right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, recently I walked into a house actually to interview someone, and for no reason at all, I couldn't wait to get out of that house. I couldn't bear to be in that house.
I think we've all had those experiences where we meet somebody, they rub us the wrong way, or we enter a place, we know there's something wrong. And a lot of people put that to intuition.
Yes, and I would say that's the same thing.
Okay.
It's, and some people, you can experience it more or less physically. I'm a physical kind of person, so I tend to really experience things as a physical sensation. But yes, intuition, inner wisdom, insight, all these things are the same, and it's a knowledge that comes, if you like, from the consciousness that we truly are. It has no apparent cause in this present physical world, and yet it's true and useful.
It's as if you're saying that life is a form of a game.
I am definitely saying that, but we choose this physical form because it's fascinating to be in a physical form that is limited when what you're used to is limitlessness.
All right, let me ask you this: why would a being who has limitless abilities want to lower themselves into a species or into a form that has limited physical capabilities?
Well, again, we're talking hierarchically. It's to lower oneself. Lower and higher are not concepts that exist in the conscious.
I understand that, but here we are, two human beings discussing a theory, and my question to you was from one human being to another: why would a spiritual being or an essence or an entity who knows no limitations, why would they want to become a being that does have limitations? It makes no sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we might ask, why would someone want to play a game of football when, you can take the ball and go and run and put it in the goal?
It's a
right?
challenge.
But we make a game, it's a game, and we make clear rules and limitations around it because it makes it an exciting game. If we didn't make those rules and limitations, we couldn't play the game.
Well, football also has challenges. It also uses strategy. It uses your physical being. There's a lot of pride in when you play a sports game. So aren't these all positive aspects of what we call humanity?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think humanity it's a wonderful thing. I'm not putting it down in any way at all. I think it's absolutely great we get to play around with this experience.
But the question is, once again, why would we want to become humans if we come from a spiritual essence that basically has no restrictions whatsoever anywhere on this dimension or any other dimension?
Well, because it's fun. And I'll simply say, because it's fun. For the same reason that any of us ever play a game.
All right, we play a game in order to face challenges. Whether it's Scrabble, whether it's Monopoly, whether it's Toss the Frisbee, whatever. But I can't understand why people who believe in the possibility that we are from spirit, and we've decided to take on this body and the challenges that we've set ourselves up for, the people that we meet, this, that, and the other thing, the script of what we call life. If we don't have to face these challenges, if we are already perfect beings.
Well, I do think that a great deal of what's going on is absolutely beyond my comprehension or your comprehension or any human being's comprehension. There is something that can't be explained and that we can't understand while we're in human form. I have no idea what it is. But I do think there are aspects to our existence that are absolutely beyond our understanding.
Yes,
you're right. It's not just that we're facing challenges. We are facing challenges and enjoying them and, playing a game. But yeah, that's something else. I don't know what it is.
If that is the case and we don't know what it is, how do we know the supposition that we come from a spiritual body is real and not a figment of the overactive imagination of many?
Oh, I think you don't have to believe it's real or not. It's absolutely valid not to believe it's real. I happen to believe it's real because it feels real to me, and I've had a number of very profound experiences that have led me to trust that feeling beyond my rational brain.
So is it safe to say that these feelings are on a one-to-one basis, so that they are individualistic experiences?
Yes, I would say that very strongly, actually. And I feel like I can say whatever I want, but the truth is, I can't persuade anybody else to believe in this. It is a personal thing, whether you have experiences that lead you to believe in it or whether you don't. It's a personal choice, and a lot of people go through life without believing it, and that's an equally valid way of living your life. I am not saying that everybody should believe this. It may be useful for some people to believe it.
So let me see. So do you believe that humanity is on the threshold of being able to communicate directly with other beings who are not in human form?
Yes, I do. I think that this world is going through an incredible shift. Actually, how it's been described to me is that we are just in the process of coming out of kindergarten. So, a child in kindergarten doesn't communicate very well, isn't particularly aware of the vastness of the world outside her kindergarten. And I think that that's exactly where the world is, and we're just beginning to realize that this, not even just our universe, but the whole cosmos is full of other beings who live other kinds of lives and are doing all kinds of things.
If there are other beings with all kinds of unheard powers who are interested in communicating with us, Mikaya, why don't they just come and talk to us?
Well, I think that's very clear that they, if a bunch of beings landed here in Texas right now, the American government would run in and cordon them off and not allow any of us ordinary mortals to speak to them. And they would, in other words, they'd get involved in all the machinations of politics. And most of those beings are, they're not interested in that kind of scheming at all. And, who knows, they may have already done it for all I know, and they may be in cahoots with the government, and we don't know about it. But certainly there are many of them are not interested in being in cahoots with any government. They're not interested in playing those games. You presumably know about the crop circles that have occurred mostly in England, actually,
Sure.
but all over the world.
Yes.
And those crop circles, some of them are man-made, and some of them are certainly not. And they are messages from other beings, in my opinion. They are, and that's a very good example of the way that they are likely to want to choose to communicate with us. Now, a friend of mine said to me about the crop circles, when I said they're messages from other beings, she said, well, we're obviously not getting the message. And I said, no. Every single person who looks at a picture of one of those crop circles and says, wow, is getting the message. So, that's a good example of the kind of level of communication we're talking about. We're not talking about people who come and explain things to us with words. We're talking about something much deeper.
Why do they think that we get the message of crop circles? Well, I've seen crop circles, and I look at them and I am puzzled by them. I'm not in wonder. I'm certainly not in awe. I just wonder what the hell the meaning is. And if these are intelligent beings, why don't they just tell us what they want instead of leaving all these encoded messages all over Hell's Green Acre?
Well, they don't particularly want anything from us.
Then why do they leave messages?
Well, they're interested in us. There are an awful lot of human beings who are asking for help, and that help, what they're asking for, can't really be explained. I mean, like I'm talking to you now, I can't, and I've had all these experiences that changed my life, but I explain them to you or to anyone else. It doesn't really make sense to you, and they're personal. And everybody's response to the crop circles is a personal thing. It's a personal response, and it moves you or it doesn't move you. And you wonder or you don't wonder. It doesn't really matter which you do. But some people certainly wonder, and that changes things. That it makes them think. It expands their perceptions of reality. And that's really what the crop circles are about, and that's what communications from other beings, that would be what their intention is.
What message do you get from the crop circles? When you see a picture of a crop circle, what does it mean to you?
Well, I can't explain it in words, but I can tell you that I feel deeply moved. I'm absolutely amazed. I'm just left in awe that something so beautiful and so perfect, and they are perfect down to the last stalk of grain, can be formed like that, can be made like that. They are incredible images. They're deeply moving. I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard of sacred geometry, and I certainly don't know a whole lot about it.
I certainly have.
Yeah, it's the idea that, certain images, especially when they're exactly geometrically, correct, that's not the correct word, but we use it, have a lot of power. And it's my experience in looking at some of these geometrical shapes that the crop circles are, that they are powerful. I'm moved by them. I can't really say any other way, but I think that concept of being moved by looking at something is that probably explains it better than any other words I can use.
All right, stand by, Mikaya. You and I have to take our final break. Exonation, www.mikayahart.org, MikayAHEART.org. She's our special guest. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break. And Mikaya is the author of... Got your pencil and paper ready? Okay, here we go. My Sweet Wild Dance. Once again, her website, www.mikayahart.org. And we'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue right here in the X Zone from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network and X-Zone Broadcast Network.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money in abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. This is the X Zone, and we're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Our special guest this hour is Mikaya Hart, and her website is www.mikayahart.org, MIKAYAHEART.org. Mikaya, you know what? It's been great having you with us. I admire your ability to believe so strongly, and the experiences that you've had have certainly reinforced your belief, and I admire that. But I have to ask you at this point, do you believe the world is going through a major shift, and what do you see as the future of this planet?
Well, I certainly do see that the world is going through a major shift. I mean, just looking at the ways it's changed in my lifetime and how many people have so much of a broader perspective on life. There's a lot of people who are afraid that we're approaching Armageddon and, there's going to be massive world catastrophes and the planet's going to be destroyed and, all that. I don't subscribe to that view at all. I think that I feel very positive about the future. And again, we're back to it's partly my own personal experience that, I find my life is I'm so much freer than I was when I was growing up. People are so much more open-minded. And I believe this planet is changing in major ways. I think our lives are going to be extremely different when we look back in probably as little as 20 years' time. I actually believe, the way I put it, I was talking to someone else today, that I think we're going to be our currency, instead of having a currency of money, I think we will have a currency of compassion. Now, what that will exactly look like and how it will work, I don't know. But I believe that it will be wonderful. And I really advise people who are afraid of the future that there's really only one way to approach it, and that is to decide that you're going to trust that you'll be in the right place at the right time, and you'll be fine. You just have to trust rather than fear. I mean, if you're going to be motivated by fear, then the chances are it'll be really hard. And I'm not saying that these changes are easy.
Yeah.
I am saying that the outcome is going to be delightful.
Mikaya, I want to thank you so much for joining us. We've run out of time for tonight, but continued success. Where are you going after Texas?
Oh, I'm going back to California. I'm a kite surfer, and I'll be kite surfing on the West Coast in the summer.
Well, take care of yourself. Thank you very much for joining us. Continued success. And do you have any other books that are going to be coming out after this one, My Sweet Wild Dance?
I have a book that should be out this year that's on the art of being human and really explains what I feel we as humans need to be learning, studying at this point in time.
Well,
in order to face the future with equanimity.
Well, good luck with that. We look forward to talking to you again in the future. Mikaya Hart's been my very special guest this hour. What a lady, what a story, what conviction. www.mikayahart.org, MIKAYAHEART.org. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada at 6.5 minutes past the hour. Don't go away.